Yeah, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Sean P. the Blunt Guy. Hey! Alright, so today we are going to be doing the Berserk read through for chapter 5. So, yes, let's get to it. So, yeah, we're on page 123. Fifth chapter. I think volume 2, chapter 2, volume 2. If you're going by the books, I think this is the second chapter for the second arc or second volume. I'm not too sure. Got this castle and Guts is walking through said castle. Like you see the steps kind of like going up in a swirl, right? Next page, we get a cover page, a double cover spread. This is so this arc is the Guardians of Desire chapter 3. It's chapter 3 of the Guardians of Desire arc. Just to let you guys know, right? Keep you guys posted. We're on this cover spread, page 124 to 125. We got Guts going up these steps. All right, so we see the Count, right? That's what I remember. I think that's what we were calling him, the Count. It's the fat bald guy who has like a demon inside of him that he gave to Lord Zondark. I think Lord Zondark is still pretty much dead though, right? I think he's still dead. I could be wrong though. Or no, he wasn't dead because I think last chapter they thought he was buried and then he ended up capturing Vargas. He ended up capturing Vargas, that little short guy who was mutilated, right? And then they pretty much executed him last chapter. Now the Count is walking through his castle and he currently has Puck prisoner in this little bird cage looking thing, and Puck is there crying, sob, old fella. You know he's crying for Vargas, the guy who got executed, which that kind of sucked. I thought Guts was going to help him, but again, Guts was kind of in a that would have been a lose situation for Guts. He would have just been sacrificing himself. So we see kind of a little flashback, a little memory that Puck is thinking of when we have Vargas. He pretty much saved Puck from the ceiling collapsing on him, because Puck is a little elf, right? A little elf. He would have got killed. Puck says, "I couldn't do a thing to save you. Not a single thing." We got Puck crying. That hit him pretty hard. The guy saved him. Makes sense. He'd be sad for the guy. He liked the guy. Vargas was a good dude at the end of the day. He seemed like a pretty good dude. And then he says, ... what's going to happen to me now? And we see the Count walking to the left of Puck. Next page. We got Puck thinking of like thinking of food. There's like this, looks like a cake with, I don't know if those are lemons or if those are eggs next to the cake. But it looks like a cake dish with, like, or maybe orange slices on the top of it, like maybe a fruit type cake. So I'm assuming it's like a fruit cake, right? It looks like a fruit cake. And maybe those aren't eggs. Maybe those are like, I don't know what they are. Maybe like avocados or plums or something. I don't know. We see a key going into a locked door that the Count is opening. What looks to be a woman on a bed reading a book. And Puck is looking on. The girl says, "Father." And she looks expressionless. Puck kind of looks shocked. And the Count says, "Still awake, Teresia?" Puck is thinking in his head, "Father?" Teresa says, "What is it, Father? Why are you coming to see me so late?" The Count says, "I'll just have a little something for you." Teresa says, "Oh, it's an elf? Is it real?" The Count says, "Well, do you like it?" Teresa says, "Yes." Teresa says, "Thank you, Father." The Count looks ... He says, "Are you lonely here, Teresia?" Teresa looks ... The Count says, "Be patient, my dear. I couldn't possibly let you out into the impure world overrun by filthy heretics." Puck looks back and says, "Teresia? ... The Count says, "You're the only." And he reaches his hand to Teresia, and she looks back like, ah! Like shocked, like and scared, and you see kind of shake a little bit. The Count looks like disgruntled a little bit about it, right? And she says, "Ah." And he grits his teeth, ... And he says, the Count says, "You still won't let me touch you." Teresia looks into the cage at Puck. Puck looks back at her. The Count says, "So be it. It's getting late. Good night." And then Teresia says, "Father." And then the Count looks back and she says, ... "Nothing. Forget it." The Count is outside of Teresia's room. We got that. The guy who directly serves the Count. He looks ... "Excellency." The Count says, "Go away." And he says, "What?" Count says, "Leave me be." And he has like this super menacing but angry looking face that the old guy just looks in fear ... And we kind of get a shot of the castle. The Count is looking out like the castle window, and he's thinking, Teresia. We see that spiral stairway, right? We see that spiral stairway, and the Count is kind of looking shocked, like he senses, he senses Guts coming, right? He senses Guts coming, and the Count says, "Alas," and you see him like grip the banister and breaks it, and he says, "He has come." And we see Guts still going up these steps. So what I'm kind of noticing, right, is that this Count, like I think he might be either an apostle or potentially one of God's hand, right? One of the God hand demons or bad spirits or whatever we call them. And even if I don't know if he's a God hand demon or if he's an apostle. I don't know which one he is. But obviously, there's something in his life that he actually cares about. So it kind of tells me that these apostles, or even the God hand possibly, like these demons, they do have things that they care for. They do have stuff that they actually care about in life, right? Which, says a lot. Guts looks shot, and we see him at the top of one of the staircases, and you see like a shadowy figure, pretty much in front of Guts. And you see tentacle limbs that we've seen with Lord Zondark, right? And also kind of a distorted looking face. You see with the mouth open, the teeth, and a long tongue sticking out. But you just see the shadow of it, right? And the figure says, "You're a stubborn bastard, you know that." So I'm thinking this is Lord Zondark, and not the Count himself. Because you see Guts looking to the left, and you see the shadow, but you can see the bottom of what looks to be Lord Zondark's body. Lord Zondark says, "I've been waiting for you, Black Swordsman." And then you see like this monstrous form of Lord Zondark, way more monstrous than the last form we seen from him. He doesn't even have his original body whatsoever almost. And you see the eyes, it's like one of his eyes is one of them is still there, but the eye that was missing is now replaced by 3 little tentacle looking eye thingies. And both his arms are like tentacle arms with these sharp bladed edges at the end of it. So yeah, we still see that other little demon that the Count pretty much bestowed upon Lord Zondark. He's still attached to the body. I I thought he would have went back to the count though. That's what I was kind of thinking, but no, he's actually a part of. He's actually fully assimilated with Lord Zondark at the moment, and we get like a full body shot of Lord Zondark, and it's just all like demon body at this point within this armor, like just contained in the armor. Like you don't see any human within Lord Zondark at this point. It's just all demon now, or all monster. Even his legs, but most of his legs are covered in armor. So, but there is some demon appendages seeping out of that the armor. And Guts says, "You're much prettier than the last time I saw you." The other little demon says, "No more games. This time there's nowhere to run." Guts just stands there looking, and we see Lord Zondark's face looking up, and he just kind of like starts destroying the flights of stairs above him, and they're like collapsing from above him. Guts aims his bolt repeater and pretty much starts shooting. The bolts from his bolt repeater like pretty much going into Lord Zondark, and they're going through his armor, just penetrating his body. It sends Lord Zondark back, and he says, "Oh, what?" Guts looks while he reloads his bolt repeater. Guts is continuing to firing off his bolt repeater. The bolts are still connecting. They're still penetrating Lord Zondark's body. One of them we see goes into Lord Zondark's mouth, and Guts still reloading. Lord Zondark starting to whip his arms around, and he says, "Yeah! Oh, let's do it. Oh, let's do it." And Guts really love his repeater, man. His little bolt repeater. But I guess in this situation, seeing how it's like such a enclosed space, it's probably smarter to use the bolt repeater than it is to use the sword. Guts is reloading again, still shooting, still firing them off. You know, still connecting with Lord Zondark. Lord Zondark screams, "Oh!" Now, Guts charges forward, grabs his sword, and he pretty much runs up towards Lord Zondark, who's looked like I don't think, he's not pinned to the wall, but he's kind of like leaning, like he's down with his back to the wall. Lord Zondark starts swinging his arms again. You know how he starts swinging it all wild, willy-nilly. But it looks like he's swinging it, and Guts pretty much brings his sword to his front. He slashes Lord Zondark right down not down the middle, but he kind of cuts off like the right side from like his head down to like his armpit. His right armpit. Zondark's tentacles kind of like to the side of Guts, and you see blood pretty much hitting Guts in the face. Lord Zondark's is screaming. Grrr! You see part of his body fall down the stairway. Guts is looking down as he falls. We see something shoot back up behind Guts, and Guts looks back and pretty much notices a little late, and it looks to be a tentacle pretty much hitting Guts in the back of, I don't know if he catches him in the back of the head or the back of the neck, or just he catches him in the back, right? And then we see Guts fall forward face first. Fall forward face first. Say that 5 times fast. Fall forward face first. Like say that 5 times fast. And then we see the tentacle pretty much latch onto the stairway, and I'm assuming it's about to pull Zondark back up. We see Zondark laughing. It's futile. No matter how much you chop me up, no matter how much you hack up the possessed body, unless you cut off my head, I'll just keep on regenerating myself. Over and over again. And we see Guts' body laying face first and just blood under Guts. That's the stupidest thing he could have done. That's the stupidest thing Lord Zondark could have done, is tell him how to defeat him. Like, hey, if you shoot me in the heart, you'll kill me. But if you shoot me anywhere else, I won't die. Like, okay, bam, shoot you in the heart. You're dead now. You idiot. Like, why would you tell him? Why would you say that? Why would you tell him your weakness? That was just utterly stupid. Utterly stupid. All you see after I just said all that, and after he pretty much was bragging and said, "Hey, you gotta cut my head off to kill me," what do we see? We see Guts's big blade going through the top half of the little demon that's on the side of Zondark's his head, right? Idiot, bro. Idiot. Guts turn around as his head is pretty much decapitating the top half of the demon's head. So we see the sword stuck in the middle of the face of this demon. Guts says, "Thanks for the tip." And then he pretty much rips the rest of the head off of the little head. He rips like the rest of it off. But it doesn't seem like he's fully dead yet, because we see like tentacles coming from the head, the under the head. It looked like they're kind of grabbing a foot. Is that a foot or is that the sword? I'm not too sure where he's grabbing on. Okay, he's grabbing on to Guts's sword. And the head says, "Now I'll feed off your body." Guts gets back up and he grips the sword and he swings it. And the demon says, "What?" Guts swings the sword into the wall, pretty much crushing the little demon's head. And I'm assuming I'm assuming after this he's dead. And the demon's head is splattered on the wall and it falls down, leaving a trail of blood. Yeah, I think it's safe to say this demon is dead. Guts is huffing. The head says, "Don't think it's over yet. I'll be waiting for you." You know, I'm assuming, the count is still the main core of the body. Guts foot slide and Guts catches himself on the wall and he says, "Damn, lost too much blood." So Guts is kind of like clenching his right side of his face. And he says, "I can't give up. Just wait and see. I'll skewer you. I'll skewer your damn head on my blade of steel," Guts yells out. So we got Puck in his cage and we see the door opened. And Puck says, "I'm not very tasty. Elves aren't very good for your digestion. Not to mention we're high in calories." Teresia says, "I won't hurt you. You can come out. I know what it feels like to be locked up in a cage." Puck says, "You're just saying that now so you can eat me alive when I come out." Teresia says, "I understand why you don't trust me. I'm his daughter after all. Father's a different person since that day." Puck looks and says, "That day?" Teresia says, "That day, Mother died 7 years ago. I was just a baby then, so I don't remember anything, but this is what Father told me. In those days, there was a sect of heretics at large who opposed my father. One day, they kidnapped Mother and threatened to kill her if Father didn't let them practice their pagan worship freely. Father, of course, couldn't allow that without permission from the king, so he refused their demands, and they carried out their threat." Okay, so, alright, so, I'm starting to think that, like, these demons, right, these apostles, or possibly even the God Hand, right, maybe, if they were once human, some of them being once human possibly, maybe they still retain some of their traits. So possibly, even though they're demons, maybe they still do have compassion for some things, like family. Because the Count, right, it's clear that the Count is somewhat of a demon. Like, he's a demon. He's not a normal human, but yet he still has love and compassion to his daughter, the daughter he had when he was human. So maybe these apostles and these God Hand demons, maybe they're a lot more complex than just being straight up evil. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's a lot more nuanced, especially if they were once humans. Like, I could see if there's some apostles or godhead that were pure demons, maybe they'll be ruthless, you know, but maybe some of them were a little nuanced, especially if they were once human, you know. Like we know Lord Zondark, even after he became a demon, he still held that grudge to Guts. He didn't let go of that grudge. I guess maybe they still retain some of their human personality. Teresia says, Mother was sacrificed alive as an offering to their evil guide. Father was a great ruler. He may have been harsh, but that was so he could defend his kingdom against neighboring enemies. He was loved, or he was trusted and loved by all, even as a father. So we see a picture of the Count with his wife and Teresia. Teresia says, but father changed. Like a man possessed, he started hunting down heretics. Now it doesn't even make a difference anymore whether you're a heretic or not. It's almost as if he enjoys hurting people. Puck says, Teresia. Teresia says, I'm scared. Sometimes I feel almost if he's not human anymore. We get a shot of like the hallway, bunch of like statues in the hallway. What it looks like gladiators or great warriors. At the end of this hallway, we see some guards protecting like a staircase. One of the guards says, ugh, strangely humid tonight. And the other guard says, hee, on a night like this, we should just take off. Hey, don't joke like that. At this castle, that's not even funny. The other one says, huh? And the other guard says, what's wrong? Hey, over there. And then we just see Guts just standing there with his cape just blowing in the wind. And now we see Guts, his face is bandaged up. So he pretty much covered his face with bandages. Who goes there? And then we see like a blade just go through one of the guards' head. And then Guts just kind of stands there after pretty much just throwing these arrows at him. And he continues walking, walks past the guards. Guts walks up this spirally staircase, and then he walks up at the top, and he is pretty much greeted with a platoon of soldiers with spears. These soldiers are pretty much, you know, just standing there waiting. And we got the old guy who works directly under the Count. He says, we knew you'd be coming, as we knew you were in league with Vargas. This is as far as you go. Surrender quietly, or I'll have to kill you at once. Gut says, move. The old guy kind of like gulps and looks. This old guy like, bruh, I might die. I might die. This guy would be killing all these soldiers and stuff. So it's possible. It's highly likely my soldiers ain't gonna be able to kill him, and he's gonna kill me too. Gut says, you're in my way. Move. The old guy looks just scared and just shook by fear. And the old guy says, fool, you think you can take on 50 troops yourself? Archers, fire at will. And then we see a bunch of guys with crossbows. Says fire. We see all these arrows charging directly at Guts. And Guts pretty much blocks all the arrows with his sword. The old guy says, with his sword, Guts starts charging towards the soldiers. And he cuts about, I want to say about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 or 5 guys in half with one swing. And now he's just going to town, just cutting more of them, right? The old guy says, eek, because one of the bodies kind of land on him. The old guy says, what are you waiting for? Attack. We see all the spearmen charging at Guts, and Guts dodges. Guts swings, cutting about 1, 2, 3, about 4 guys in half, we see. And then he cuts one guy like right down the middle, cuts another guy's head off. Bruh, Guts going to town. The old guy says, come on, what are you doing? Jericho. And we see some big dude, like big heavily armored guy with like a big shield, but he got 2 balls of spikes attached to the bar with like chains. I forget what you call that thing. This is Jericho. He comes out, walking out, big dude, real big dude. He starts walking. The old guy says, get him. You always bragged about being stronger than Zondark. Show us your strength now. And Jericho comes swinging his little mason chain, and Guts looks back. Jericho's still swinging. Guts swings his arm, or swings his sword, and all you kind of see is like his sword. It looked like it's fading through Jericho's sword. But no, you actually see it cutting through the sword, and it's cutting through Jericho's armor. But I don't know, I guess Jericho kind of moves. Maybe he kind of like redirects Guts' sword, because Guts don't fully like cuts through Jericho's body. But he says, go! We see Guts finishing his swing, and Jericho sweating heavy. And Guts is going with another swing. Or is this the same swing? So yeah, now Guts is actually cutting through Jericho, right? Cutting right through him. And we see, next page, we see Jericho's body hit like a pillar. Like, not only did Guts cut him, but he also cut like the pillar behind him. Well, this is like a double page spread. Guts is like cutting through Jericho, his armor, and the pillar behind Jericho. We see Guts just staring at his handiwork. We see the top half of Jericho's body. Like, it's on the floor in front of the bottom half of his body. And the pillar pretty much collapsed on the top half of his body. And then the old guy looks on in fear. And so do the other soldiers. And they all scream, Bro, why are y'all still fighting this man? Why are y'all still fighting this man? Run away. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, I get y'all work for this thing, but y'all not beating this. Y'all about to die right now. Y'all are going to die. You guys are going to die. Run. If you value your lives, run. Now it look like some of these soldiers are actually starting to run away. And the old guy says, wait, where do you think you're going, fools? I'm warning you, come back. And Guts is walking up these steps towards the old guy. And the old guy says, Guts is standing right in front of this old guy. And we cut back to Teresa and Puck, and Teresa says, I'm sorry. Puck says, huh? About what? I couldn't stop myself from crying. It's been so long since I've talked to anyone. Puck says, no problem. I'll lend you my shoulder. Teresa says, hee hee. Do you have a name? The name's Puck. Tell me, Puck. You fly, don't you? Puck says, eh? Teresa says, what does it feel like to fly? Puck says, what's it like? Normal, I guess. The same as for birds or bugs. Well, I guess it's a bit easier than walking. I mean, half of it is just up to the wind. Teresa says, It's just an everyday thing for you elves, isn't it? Teresa says, you haven't been in here all this time, have you? Or Puck says that. And then Teresa says, for 7 years, ... Father doesn't let me leave this room. He thinks there are still heretics lurking about the city. Even now, he won't let anyone from the city or anyone even remotely connected to the city near me. This is my world. Outside this window, my little piece of sky. Puck is thinking, such sober eyes, not the eyes of a child. Teresa and Puck kind of notices some commotion going on pretty much below where they're looking outside the window. Teresa says, what's going on? Yeah, man, I mean, it's weird that we have like this count, right? Who seems to be a demon, possibly an apostle, possibly a God hand. I don't know. I'm still in the dark when it comes to God hand and apostles, right? I know very little of them. I just know God hand are like above apostles. But I figure if the count was a God hand, right? Lord Zondark, he probably turned Lord Zondark into an apostle. Because Lord Zondark was pretty strong, right? After he got that demon in him. Almost as strong as the Snake Lord that we seen back in the first few chapters. Like, we see the Count, he has like this compassion, and he still loves his daughter, you know, despite being pretty evil, right? Despite being pretty evil. So it just shows that maybe there's some nuances among these demons. Somebody says, what is it? It's a burglar, an intruder in the inner compound. Puck looks with his face smashed onto the window. Guts? Puck says, Teresia, I gotta go. And she says, huh? Puck says, that burglar they're talking about. It's someone I know. Teresia says, you can't go. It's too dangerous. Puck says, I'll be all right. I'm pretty quick. Teresia says, but. Puck says, don't worry. Seen my share of battles I have. Teresia yells, no. Puck falls back and she's covering her mouth, says, I'm sorry. Teresia says, it's natural that you would worry about your friend. She's like reaching for the window handle, and Puck says, well, he's not exactly my friend. We see Teresia's window open. Teresia says, go on then. Puck says, Teresia. Teresia says, I told you. I knew what it felt like to be locked up in a cage, didn't I? That's because I am. Teresia says, well, okay. Puck says, see ya. And then Puck runs off. And Teresia watches, Puck is flying off. Teresia just kind of sitting there. And then Puck knocks on the window, knock, knock. Teresia says, what is it? Puck says, something I forgot to say. I'll be back to see you later. And then her eyes just like light up and you see tears in her eyes. I get it. She's lonely. She's a lonely girl. She's locked in this room. That's all she knows, and she doesn't have nobody. She only like accepted Puck as a gift because it was like she had no other friends. She's a lonely girl. I'm pretty sure that has to be hard to be by yourself like that. And Puck says, and then I'll take you out of here. And Teresia says, eh? And then Puck says, alrighty then, see you soon. And she's thinking, for so long now, I'd given up even dreaming about it. To actually leave this room. To go outside. For revenge on the heretics who robbed him of the woman he loved. Is that why the Count acquired demonic powers? He summoned the God Hand. And he himself became a demon. We see Guts kicking that old man through the door. And the guy like falls back. His nose and mouth is bleeding. He says, oh, go, eek. And Guts like, holding his sword behind him. And Guts is we just get a full page of Guts just standing in the doorway with his sword. We get a double page. We see on one page, on the right page, Guts is looking towards like a throne. And we see the Count sitting there. He says, impressive that you made it this far. Well done, Black Swordsman. Come now and test me. Let's see just how far human power will go. Guts looks ... and starts walking towards the Count. While the old man is holding his mouth, trying to be unnoticed. And, holding in all that blood. Guts reaches the bottom of the little staircase where the throne starts. And we see the Count just sitting there, unfazed. Guts starts walking up the steps. And then he looks downward. He grabs his sword and then stabs it into the stairway. And then we see all these tentacles coming up from the staircase. So Guts like stabs into some type of an appendage, right? Some type of demonic appendage that was hiding under the staircase. The Count says, nicely countered. But then as Guts is stabbing this appendage, another bigger tentacle or another appendage comes from behind Guts. Or maybe that's the same appendage. We go to the next page and we see like so we see what it is, right? It's like an appendage coming from the Count, but like between his legs, right? Like, like that appendage, right? Like it's looking like I don't want to say that because that might be a little too explicit for YouTube, but I think some of y'all might know what I'm talking about, right? Some of y'all might know what I'm talking about. It's this appendage between the Count's legs. That's all I'm gonna say. It looked like a big tentacle with other tentacles attached to it, and it's like hovering above Guts. And the Count says, "I now grasp the extent of your skill." The Count says, "It seems that I too must take this fight a little more seriously." So we see an appendage, like, I guess it's his hand, right? It looks like his hand, and Guts like just looks on at him. We cut to Puck flying around the castle, and he says, "Whoops, I flew all right, but I forgot to ask where the Count's quarters are." And as Puck is flying, like a wall right next to Puck just explodes, just explodes out. And Puck looks into that wall, and then he says, "Guts." Like, he screams, "Guts!" And then he goes into the part of the building that got destroyed open, and he puts his hand on something, and he notices that whatever he has his hand on just isn't a wall, right? It's not a normal wall. And we see like this big old monstrous like tentacle, like, I don't know if it's like just multiple tentacles or it's like a wall of tentacles. Puck says, "Ah!" And we see like a more demonic form of the Count, what looks to be like a foot. One of the Count's tentacles is charging towards Guts, and you know Guts is smiling. He's ready for a fight. And the Count says, "I'll crush you." And his mouth, it looked like flame. It looked kind of like flames, or like some type of smoke is coming out of the Count's mouth. We see a clearer form, even though a lot of the Count's body is blocked by a pillar. But we see more of the form of this new body, and it's like you see his face on top of, like, right over like this demonic looking mouth. And now we see both of Count's mouths smiling at Guts. And the old servant, it said, "Eek, eek." Even Puck is a little shocked. So now we get more of it. We get another unblocked shot of this new demonic form, and he kind of like starts swiping towards Guts. Guts cuts off the hand that is charging directly at him. The Count says, "Now you understand." "It's futile. No matter how many times you chop off my arms and legs, each time you cut them off, my body becomes stronger. It grows bigger and bigger. A mere sword can't possibly destroy me." And Guts looks like he avoids an attack. The Count pretty much continues his assault on Guts. So now the castle is shaking, to where even Teresia, she can feel what's going on, because like stuff is falling from a room and all that stuff. And she said, huh? And she looks up and the wall like collapse above her. And she says, "Kaya!" The walls are collapsing, the ceiling collapses, and she looks to be trapped under like a piece of furniture. The girl says, "Ah!" And she notices that the door has pretty much opened. It's like broken, so now it's open. So I'm assuming she sees her chance of escape. And she says the door is, and then she gets out from under the furniture she was under. She walks towards the door. She looks through the crack of the door. You see kind of a light, like she sees what looks to be like a light in the distance, and like a dark hall, but there's a light. Looks like she's a little scared to actually leave this room, because I mean, she's never been outside this room. She remembers Puck, and she decides to leave the room. We see the Count, his bottom mouth seems to be roaring, right? Like he's roaring, making out a roar. Puck says, "Guts!" And we see Guts dodging the demonic hand tentacle thingy. The demon is pursuing Guts as he's sliding across the floor. Guts is like running away, seeking some cover. And the Count says, "Where are you? What happened to that vigorous onslaught of yours? Do you finally realize that you have no chance of winning and decide to run away?" The old servant says, "What's going on? This can't be happening." And as he runs away, Guts is like appears right in front of him. Guts is standing there. The old guy says, "What?" The Count says, "Where are you, black swordsman?" As he's like looking through the chambers for Guts. He's looking, and we see Puck, who looks to be hiding, and then he notices what looks to be Guts's cape behind the pillar. I know what Guts did. Guts foul for this. Guts, he ain't foul, but I mean, I would have done the same thing too. Count notices, and he charges into what looks to be Guts's body, and Puck says, "Guts, behind you." The Count destroys the pillar that Guts is hiding behind, quote unquote Guts. Puck looks in fear, and the Count says, he. The Count notices. He looks down and he notices that it was his old servant. And then we see Guts to the left of the Count with his sword in tow. The Count notices, and Guts charges at him with a swing. Guts slashes the face of the Count. I don't think it was a killing blow though. He looked like the only damage he did was cut off a few of his little tentacles coming from the face and slice like the eye. He says, "Just a surface wound." Damn. The Count catches Guts with a swipe and sends Guts into one of the pillars. And Guts coughs up blood. Count's lower mouth is screaming at Guts. We see Guts is pretty much going through the pillar still. Guts falls to the floor and he like slides. He's trying to get up and he's coughing up blood. Puck comes to the side and says, "Guts." The Count says, "You rogue, you set a decoy and aimed for my head at the spur of the moment. Indeed, your quick wits show that you're a first-rate warrior. But in the end, that's just a human technique. It's irrational to think you can defeat me. I, who am beyond human. The brand on your neck, impossible. To think that someone can survive with that brand carved into their flesh. Revenge, is that it? But of course you'll never win. A mere mortal like yourself. You see, you can't even stand up after a single strike from me. It's not worthy being constantly wounded by demons, chopped to pieces. There's no need for you to continue your war of pain and fear. That's right. It's a meaningless fight." And the Count goes in for another attack. "You should put an end to it now. I will release you from your suffering. I will dispatch you once and for all. Back to where you belong. Your final resting place in hell." It was already preordained the moment the brand was carved into your neck. Divine providence cannot be thwarted by man's efforts. And then we see Guts he's kind of looking and worried. The Count says, "You can die proudly now, knowing that at least you inflicted one blow upon me." And the Count charges towards Guts. Puck says, "Look out!" And then Guts looks like he gets swiped. So it's like he gets hit in the leg, what looks like. And he says, "Yeah!" And he falls to the floor sliding. Guts says, "Ugh!" But he's still holding on to his sword. And then he get like a tentacle wraps around Guts' leg. So now the Count is pretty much swinging Guts around and swinging him into pillars and bashes him into the ground. Guts is still getting bashed into the ground. The Count is just holding Puck Guts by the legs, holding him up. He says, "Still won't part with your sword, I see." Then he throws him into another pillar. Then we see Guts like laying on the pillar. Finally released his sword, and he's just laying there, bleeding from the back of his head. The Count is looking, and we see Guts' body laid out on top of a broken pillar, and it says, "To be continued." This was probably one of the most action-packed chapters we've gotten so far. But yeah, one thing really kind of stuck out to me with this chapter was the revelation that, the Count has a daughter. I mean, we've seen the daughter in the beginning of this arc, but, now we know it's his daughter, and he actually cares for, despite being this monster and this demon or whatever, he actually still does love his daughter. So it shows a little nuance that these demons could potentially have. Now, maybe he's unique, right? Maybe he just is unique and he retained this from his human side. Or this could be a continued thing where we start seeing more demons with more nuanced personalities, right? They're not fully 100% evil. Maybe some of them are only 90% evil. I guess, right? But it's dope that we got to see a lot of action with Guts getting thrown around. You know, he's still injured from his fight with Zondark. That does kind of play a part in this fight. You know, I kind of think that the girl, Teresia, I think she might arrive to the fight and maybe distract the Count in order for Guts to get the opening that he needs to finish the Count. That's kind of my prediction on it, because now we know that she is free out her room and she might go see what's happening with her father. I could see that playing a part of what gives an opening to Guts. Those are my thoughts on the chapter. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Also subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Make sure you follow me on Twitch as well. But anyway, it's your boy, Sean P, the Bluff God, and I am out of here. Peace.